to reserve their judgment for 3 weeks. And they came back and said, we accepted the 4 people in the dock who'd become known as the Guildford Four did not bomb Guildford, did not bomb Guildford. And in the case of Hill and Armstrong, we accepted they didn't bomb Woolwich. But here's the twist. But we think it may be possible they knew the people who did it, although we have no fucking proof to show. So they sent us back to jail for another 12 years. That's British justice. That's British justice. My father, his appeal was before mine and had been rejected. He'd embarked on a letter campaign appealing to people's humanity and decency, and always believing that there was more decent people than bad people. Me, I got stoned. You know, that's what I did. I thought I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. And then in 79, his health really, really deteriorated. And he was in and out of the hospital. And they'd sent me on a merry-go-round. They'd moved me from Wormwood Scrubs to Winchester, from Winchester to Bristol, and then back. And when I came back, he was in hospital. And 2 British MPs, backed by the unions, 2 good men, Philip Whitehead and Andrew Bennett. They said to him, Giuseppe, look, we can get you a transfer back to the Mays, the H blocks, and you'll be out within 3 months. And he said, is my son going with me? And I went, no. He said, well, I came here to help him, not leaving him. You know. And then they took him to Hammersmith Hospital. And on the 18th of January 1980 was the last time I seen him. They took me from Wormwood Scrubs, the short distance to Hammersmith, handcuffed, took me up the stairs, police everywhere, shotguns, machine guns. Took me into a small room. And there was my father lying in the bed, like a matchstick, emancipated, with tubes coming out of his arms, an oxygen mask, and a whole load of suits, probably from the Home Office, from the cops, from the government, a couple of priests, and one glorious little Catholic nun, Sister Sarah Clark, whose dedication to helping innocent people is incredible. And I remember reaching over with the hand that wasn't handcuffed to hold his hand. And he took the mask off, and he looked at them all, and he said, I'm a dying man. I'm going to die. If any of you think I'm guilty, look me in the eyes. And they all dropped their heads. They all dropped their heads. And then he turned to me and he said, I'm going to die, son. You're never going to see me again. But don't be worrying. You know, your dad says he's dying. You're never going to see him again. He tells you not to worry. He said, but my dad's going to be the instrument to get you out. And it's going to take something like this to get you out. But you remember, when you do get released, you go out the front door, because they put us in the back door. And you tell the world what they did to us. And then he died. I never seen him. Ended up being flown to Dublin, where Brendan Brown, an undertaker, who was going to do my father's funeral, picked the body up. And his letter campaign, I continued. And then I'd known of Paddy, but I'd never met him. We kept missing each other like ships in the night. We were writing this joint letter campaign. It's 1985. First Tuesday in World in Action did programs, questioned the validity of the evidence that convicted us. From that, there was an inquiry that Douglas Hurd announced. And on the 20th of January, 1987, Douglas Hurd sent the Birmingham 6 case back to the appeal court, and he rejected the Guildford case. And, you know, knowing the Brits, because they kept moving the fucking goalpost, I sort of thought, well, you know, they're setting these guys up for a fall, and they're going to then give us an appeal. And the reason they were going to give us an appeal, and it was going to be a successful appeal, because they actually had the people who did it in custody, who'd admitted it. Anyway, on the 19th of October, 1989, they finally released me. And I came out and I said what I said. Spent 15 years in jail for something I didn't do, something I didn't know nothing about. Watched my father die in jail. He was an innocent man. The Maguires were innocent. Let's hope the Birmingham Six are next. But little did I know, getting out of prison was only the start of another nightmare. Because while I was in prison, I seen two people being murdered in front of me by the same guy 5 years apart. Violent, brutal deaths. I heard the screams of young prisoners who were being gang raped with the okay of the prison authorities. I seen people self-harm and commit suicide. And the horror of being tortured never leaves you, never leaves you. When I look around, I think, how did the campaigns for the Birmingham Six and the Guildford Four and the Maguires evolved? And I reckon it was in clubs and little halls like this, but with not as many people. And then I started thinking, you know, we were 4 different people at Guildford: Hill, Armstrong, Conlon, and Richardson. When them families got together, they had a stronger voice than the individual. And then when they linked up with the Birmingham Six campaign, they even had a stronger voice. And this is what the unions are about. They're about protecting people. They're about speaking out for people. They're about looking out for people. We were able to coordinate all the groups, all the politicians, all the church dignitaries into one single group. And with one single group, we had a powerful voice. And this is what the unions represent. Dios. Because, make no mistakes, governments think well ahead in their strategy. And when they designed the Prevention of Terrorism Act and implemented, and I was the second person to be arrested under it in November of 1974, within 10 years, they had targeted, through the Prevention of Terrorism Act, the black community. Then Thatcher, when she got in power, targeted the unions with it. Legislation that's brought in, designed for one specific act, should never be allowed to become common policing and common laws. Because when they do that, they have people in mind of who they're going to use it against. And as Paddy Joe Hill says so eloquently, there is one law for them and another for us. Fuck that. There's a lot more of us than there is of them. We're all the same. We're all the same. We work hard. We demand to have safe and healthy issues at the forefront of every negotiation, to bring home a decent pay, and more importantly, for the workers to come home safe to their families. As Chris Kane says, there's nothing worse than going to a family who's lost someone, who's not coming home. And as John McManus said, there has been so many innocent people released from prison who've died way before their time, who came out and they couldn't handle their freedom, who started medicating themselves through alcohol and drugs, me being one of them. They dragged me out of a cave, out of a hole that I dug for myself. And to come here and to feel the warmth, the generosity, the inspiration, and the solidarity of the unions is absolutely fantastic. education, organisation, dedication, solidarity. Thank you very much.